This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Started with hello and now we're here in this moment, here in this moment. Dreamed of what could be with you, but now I know it, now I know it. You got me making plans, can't even understand it. How I'm so wrapped up in you. I think I really found my forever. Baby, you're too good to be true. Nothing like us being together. It could be me and you. Me and you. Me and you. Me and you.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, I think we know this. We have established it year over year over year over year. Anyways, today is Tuesday, May the 26th of 2026, and we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends over there at Radio Big, doing the things that they get to do. So anyways, how are you? How have you been? Did you have a 3-day weekend or a 2-day weekend? I know ours was a 3-er when it was all said and done. So there you go. So let's start talking almost immediately in regards of what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's just kind of what we do around here. So our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's just what we do. We talk a little bit about this, we talk a little bit about that, and then kind of go from there. That's just what it goes up. So with that being said, what we do is we bring in some professional broadcasters. We bring in some people that are just randomly talking about stuff. That's just the way that it happens. And then if you want to interact with the show, it's easy to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging are the options of what it will allow you to do. So there you go. Some options of things to do, get them over, and all that kind of fun stuff. So audio, video, text messaging once you get there, and then we just get moving. Yep, we're just moving down the multiverse of all the stuff we have going on. So if you're good with this, I'm good with it. We can hang out and do some things. I do have some friends kind of waiting in the wings from Feature Story News that are wanting to talk to you. So that's kind of what's going to happen here over the next little bit. So there you go. There you go. So with that being said, got a question before we move forward. How are you? Like, seriously, how are you? I know that gets referenced a lot in some shows, but how are you? How have you been? How's life treating you? Is it been what you're expecting, or not really, or are you kind of somewhere in between? Just a curiosity question. Always is a curiosity question of how things are going with you. So anyways, with that being said, why don't we just go ahead and get into some news? That way we can get you moving down the multiverse of things that you might have missed out of what was happening. So, with that being said, let's bring in our friends from Feature Story News.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Ishan Garg. Foreign ministers of the Quad grouping, which includes India, Japan, Australia and the US, are meeting in New Delhi with energy and maritime security at the top of the agenda. India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar emphasized how crucial it is for fuel-importing nations to seek reliable energy shipments during his bilateral discussions with Japan's Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi.
I think particularly in this current situation, what is happening in West Asia or the Middle East is important because we are both energy importing nations, we are big trading nations. We have maritime interests. I would also like to discuss with you economic security issues because I think today that is very important as a concern for all major economies. So once again, a very, very warm welcome. Very good to see you back.
Iran's top negotiators have arrived in the Gulf state of Qatar for further talks on the emerging peace agreement with the United States, even as it remains unclear how much progress has been made. US President Donald Trump said negotiations with Iran were progressing well, while demanding that Middle East countries sign the Abraham Accords after a deal is reached. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
Now, Iran has said a degree of understanding has been reached, but both sides signalled that a deal was not imminent. And that suggests there are still significant disagreements to overcome, like the lifting of US sanctions and, in particular, Iran's nuclear program. US President Donald Trump's also linked any Iran deal with the Abraham Accords, demanding that Middle East countries sign the set of treaties aimed at normalizing relations with Israel. Mr. Trump's comments may be a way of appeasing Iran hawks in the US, but at the same time, ending the conflict with Iran would allow the president to extricate himself from an unpopular war that's seen fuel prices soar.
The UK has recorded its hottest May Day ever, surpassing the previous record set in 1922. Temperatures reached 33.5 degrees Celsius at London's Heathrow Airport and are expected to rise to 35 degrees Celsius. Lara Bentley reports from London.
Heat health alerts have been issued by authorities across most parts of the UK, warning that more vulnerable people are likely to require healthcare, including the elderly and people with pre-existing respiratory and heart conditions. The warning is set to remain in place until Wednesday evening. UV levels are also reaching unusually high levels across much of the UK, climbing to between 8 and 10, which is classified as very high on the World Health Organization's UV scale. Meanwhile, around 500 homes in southern England are facing disrupted water supplies, with the utility company South East Water saying it has struggled to keep up with increased demand during the hot weather.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. The US government on Friday published a second trove of data relating to UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, what we all used to call UFOs. And that has once again set off a scramble to determine whether there really is something out there. Since the beginning of the month, more than 1 billion people have already accessed a first release of records by the Pentagon. Avi Loeb is the Frank B. Baird Jr. Professor of Science at Harvard University.
There are two possible interpretations. I mean, it's probably a mixed bag. Either these are all familiar human-made or natural objects, or there are some non-human-made objects. And either way, this matter is of great importance for national security or for basic science. I think it may represent a significant flaw of the American defense system if we're dealing with balloons. We know about the Chinese spy balloon that was shut down, and in addition to it, there were other balloons, and presumably the Chinese have many balloons over the US that are not being recognized by the intelligence agencies. So that's a serious matter. Now, the question is, what are they? And most of them are probably human-made. I completely agree with that. But even if 1 out of a million is non-human made, that would be the biggest discovery humanity ever made.
And if you can't get enough of it, a third release of data by the Trump administration is coming very soon. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
FSN is an independent source of news for TV, radio and digital networks worldwide. You can find more of our minute-by-minute updates on Twitter. Follow us there at Feature Story. And we have a wealth of audio and video stories from our global news bureaus on Facebook. You can find us there by following Feature Story News. Stay tuned for further updates right here. But for now, that is the latest feature story news. Ishan Garg reporting.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
In safety, in my opinion, you woke up. You saw the system, the simulation, the structure that trained you to mistake compliance for care. Safety mutation. Information misdirection picks up where the signal fractured. Because the system didn't shut you down, it rebranded you. It packaged your voice, sold your rebellion as a new initiative, and smiled while doing it. This isn't a manual. It's a decoded transmission about what happens when slogans replace stories, when safety becomes marketing, and when truth gets mirrored so perfectly, you forget it was ever yours. You'll see the mutation. Learning teams turned into theater, zero harm turned into optics, and feedback turned into formatting. But the signal didn't die. It was redirected. Safety Mutation is Book 2 of the Signal Transmission Trilogy. Available now in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by the author J. Allen, Ph.D. Because the system adapted. Now it's your move.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. System requirements for listening to this radio show? Volume up? Common sense down? Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go, hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yeah, it's the Tuesday after the holiday thing, you know. It becomes one of those weird days because then you're kind of like Is it Monday? Is it not Monday? I get it. I get it. I get it. Believe me, I get it more than what I probably should. So there you go. Okay, so let's start talking right away about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Because why would we not do that? So let's start going down the path. I have to tell you, kind of some weird stuff popped up in the news. Because that's kind of what we do. In regards of looking around. So I'm going to go slow, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff because it was kind of weird. So the racing world is still trying to process the death of Kyle Busch. New details of the call released on Friday revealed that Busch was in serious distress the day before he died, struggling to breathe, overheating, feeling faint, and even coughing up blood at the General Motors training facility in North Carolina. According to the call, Busch was lying on the bathroom floor, but was still conscious when emergency responders were called. The unidentified caller asked paramedics to arrive without sirens as Busch was rushed to Charlotte Hospital after becoming unresponsive during a Chevrolet simulator session. No official cause of death has been released. Take a listen.
And tell me exactly what's happened.
I've got an individual that's shortness of breath, very hot, thinks he's going to pass out, and is producing a little bit of blood, coughing up some blood.
And is he awake?
He is awake. He's awake. He's on the bathroom floor right now.
So there you go. Definitely some interesting things happening there. Of course, people are still going to be wondering what was going on with the whole thing. So the family of Kyle Busch has revealed the NASCAR star died of severe pneumonia developed into sepsis, causing what was described as rapid, overwhelming complications. Busch died Thursday at the age of 41. After being hospitalized with what was initially described as serious illness. The new details showed that Busch had apparently been struggling with the worsening symptoms for weeks before his death. According to the reports, he became unresponsive while using racing simulator at his home in Concord. On Wednesday night, a 911 call released later described him suffering shortness of breath, extreme heat, and coughing up blood while laying on the bathroom floor while waiting for paramedics. There was also warning signs during recent races. During a NASCAR event in upstate New York on May the 10th, Busch radioed that his crew asking for a doctor to meet him after the race because he needed a shot. Days later, an interview on May the 16th, he admitted that he was still dealing with what was thought as a bad cough, saying that he remained pretty substantial. So there you go. Some interesting stuff going on there. I mean, the loss of life is a loss of life, and it's always one of those weird things that, to be able to talk about in regards of what's going on. So there you go. What an interesting time. Don't know what else to say. So let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Did you hear about this? This was kind of a shocking one to take a listen to. Shots rang out at the White House on Saturday evening, triggering an immediate lockdown as Secret Service agents rushed into action. Reporters on the North Lawn said they heard anywhere between 20 to 30 shots, with journalists ordered to sprint for cover and shelter inside of the briefing room. One law enforcement source said that the suspect approached the White House perimeter fence and opened fire. ABC correspondent Selena Wang said that it was recording for social media video outside when the gunfire erupted. She described hearing what sounded like dozens of gunshots before Secret Service agents moved everyone indoors. President Trump was reportedly inside of the White House at the time of the wrapping up talks with Iran with Middle Eastern officials in the Oval Office. Broadcast footage showed heavily armed Secret Service agents sweeping the ground while the streets around the White House were blocked by the police and the National Guard personnel. CNN reported the shots have come from the 17th Street side near the Eisenhower Executive Office building. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that the FBI responded to assist the Secret Service investigation. The lockdown was lifted shortly before 7 p.m., and reporters were eventually released from the shelter areas. The gunman shot was dead. This is the update. After opening fire on the White House checkpoints, has been identified as 21-year-old man who believed that he was Jesus Christ. According to multiple law enforcement, Nasari Best, 21, was gunned down after exchanging fire with the Secret Service agents in Washington, D.C. on Saturday evening. Take a listen.
That President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
Yeah, I would imagine if you're doing your job as reporting and all of a sudden you hear that, you're going to freak out. No doubt there. No doubt about that one as we are talking about it. So just keep that in mind as we are going. Okay, so with that being said, let's talk about some other things going on. We'll keep it kind of tied into the Trump family for a moment. Donald Trump Jr. has officially tied the knot with Bettina Anderson after the couple quietly made their marriage legal in Florida before celebrating with a private ceremony in the Bahamas. According to reports, the couple held a small wedding ceremony at a private island on May the 23rd with close friends and families in attendance. Guests included Don Jr.'s sibling, Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, and Tiffany Trump, along with their spouses, member of the Anderson family. Court documents obtained by People magazine show that the couple had already applied for Florida marriage license back on May the 14th. The paperwork states that the marriage was legally performed at the West Palm Beach home of Anderson's twin sister, with her brother-in-law officiating the ceremony. So there you go. Let's just talk about it for a moment. You have a ceremony that was taking place. You have a ceremony that in a private island afterwards. But I think that this is not as uncommon as most people assume that, you have a ceremony and then go, oh no, this was not the whole thing. Oh yeah, it's normally the whole thing right there. It's the whole kit and caboodle. Let's just not lie in regards to what's going on there. So let's talk about some other stuff because this is kind of what we do around here. So there you go. Doug McCain. Yeah, Doug McCain, the eldest son of John McCain, has suddenly died at the age of 66, according to his family. The cause of death has not yet been released. Doug was remembered publicly by his sister, Megan McCain, who called him a wonderful, joyful man who brought humor, fun, and great conversations everywhere he went. McCain was a Navy pilot and the son of John McCain's first wife, Carol Shep McCain. John McCain adopted Doug after marrying Carol in 1965, and Doug remained a close member of the McCain family throughout the senator's political and military career. He is survived by his wife, Ashley, and his children, Caroline and Shep. His mother, Carol, and the extended family and other extended family members, is the way that we should put that. So there you go. Sad to hear about the passing about that. I know 2 death stories already. I apologize about that, but that's what's going on in regards of some of the information that is out there. Okay, so let's continue talking about some other stuff real quick. Oil prices dropped sharply yesterday morning as traders reacted to the signs of the United States and Iran may be inching closer to a peace agreement. President Trump said negotiations are proceeding nicely while Iran officials acknowledge talks have made progress, although no final deal has been reached yet. The optimism sent energy prices to lower than earlier trading. Brent crude fell about $95 per barrel, while the U.S. crude futures dropped to $91 a barrel. Both down more than 5%. Gas prices in the U.S. also dipped slightly ahead of Memorial Day. Throughout, the drivers are still paying painful prices at the pump. According to AAA, regular gas averages about $4.50 nationwide as of Monday. Only 1 cent lower than last week, but still roughly 40 cents higher than a month ago. Diesel prices also eased slightly, but remained elevated. Despite the higher fuel costs, more than 39 million Americans were expected to hit the road over the holiday weekend, though travel experts say inflation inflation and expensive gas may cause some of these trips to be shorter or people to stay home. Analysts say that the big issue remains the Strait of Hormuz, a major shipping route, has faced disruption during the tension of Iran. Until a formal agreement is reached, the oil shipment move normally again. Experts warn the gas prices will likely stay above $4 a gallon nationally. But here's the thing, because this is what we're going to run into, so let's just not lie about this. You are aware that even though if the prices of fuel drop because on how this stuff is quote unquote stockpiled, you're going to look at this and go, okay, the prices are not going down
yet,
because This is the price that we bought it at. So we're going to sell it at this higher price until we're able to recoup our money. Just the way that these things go. Unless something entirely out of the blue ends up coming up. That's just what's going to happen. What do you think here? I'm just asking, and not for a friend. I'm asking because I'm curious on what your thought process is and when it comes to this whole thing. So what do you think? So let's continue talking about some other stuff. Should I mention this? Let's do it. Let's talk about it. So you are aware that Colbert was done with his show last week, right? So Stephen Colbert, no more on that show. So just one day after wrapping his final episode of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert jumped right back behind the desk on Friday night. Only this time it was on a tiny public access show in Monroe, Michigan. Colbert made a surprise return to Only in Monroe, the same local program that he appeared back on in 2015 before debuting on The Late Show. During his CBS farewell monologue, he joked that after late night TV, fans would probably see him back on public access television next. Turns out he wasn't joking. The anonymous let me rephrase that. The unannounced appearance featured Colbert doing local Monroe jokes, hosting Monroe news segments, and reuniting with Eminem, who also appeared during Colbert's first 11 years ago. So take a listen to this.
It's been an excruciating 23 hours without being on TV, so I am grateful to be able to be here on Monroe Community Media before they also get acquired by Paramount.
Okay, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. What an interesting time. I mean, let's just not lie here. Guy was on TV, national television, then jumped around. I'm kind of going to be intrigued on what he's going to do next, because that's always the thing that we are talking about. Because here's the weird part about the whole thing. You are aware that a lot of these people that are in bigger media, or we'll call it quote unquote legacy media, will start off doing their own thing if things don't end up going the way that they wanted them to moving forward. So there you go. Okay. So let's talk about this, and I hope you are sitting down for this one. Are you a Krispy Kreme customer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Krispy Kreme. You know, the donut place. Why am I asking this? Well, Krispy Kreme customers could soon cash in after the donut chain agreed to settle $1.6 million class lawsuit against tied to major data breach. Yep, the lawsuit claims that hackers gained access to Krispy Kreme's private database in late 2024 and potentially exploring sensitive customer information, including social security numbers and bank account details. The suit accuses the company of failing to properly protect customers' data by cyber criminals. Now affected customers may be eligible for payouts up to, or you hope you're sitting for this part, of $3,500. If they can prove that they suffered financial losses tied to fraud, identity theft, and other damages connected to the breach. That means that receipts, bank statements, emails, and phone records will be needed to back up the claim. Even customers who didn't lose money but had their information exposed could receive around $75, although the final amount depends on how many people file for the claim. The deadline to apply is by June the 22nd. So nothing says sweet treat like checking your credit card to see if your jelly is still filled. So there you go. Some stuff to talk about real quick. No doubt about that. So are you ready for this one? Take a listen to this one. Meng Jiaoji says that he has created an AI-powered pet translator that can supposedly understand cats and dogs with nearly 95% accuracy. I wonder how they verified that. That's going to be the interesting one. Which sounds either revolutionary or like the world's most expensive way to hear your dog ask for bacon. The startup based in China recently opened for pre-orders for a wearable device while attached to the pet's collar and allegedly interprets the vocal sounds, emotions, and behavior into human language. The gadget costs about $118, and more than 10,000 units have reportedly already been reserved. According to the company, the translator was built with Alibaba's Clout Tong Qian AI model that was trained on millions of pet voices samples and behavior data points. Let's see. Meng claims that would allow the device to recognize that pets are feeling and trying to communicate with remarkable accuracy. There's just one problem. Critics say that the company hasn't actually shown any proof. Aside the flashy demo video showing cartoon-style translation of barks and meows, the startup has not released studies, testing data, or scientific evidence of backing the 95% accuracy claim. That immediately raised eyebrows online, and some social media users joking the device is less pet translator and more human intelligence test. Skepticism even more after reports revealed that the company was only founded earlier this year. Still investors appear interested in the idea, with a startup reportedly landing $1 million in seed fund. So for now, the device may or may not let you understand the pet better. But if your cat translator message turns out to feed me peasant, honestly, that would probably check out. So just some things that you could think about as we are talking. So what do you think? What an interesting time. I mean, I want you just to think about this for a moment real quick. Just for a moment. I am going to invest in your company. I'm going to give you $1 million if you can tell me what this animal is saying. That is what was the discussion was at some particular point that somebody said, oh yeah, this is an investment we are going to invest into because that just sounds like a great idea.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
I'm just saying, just some things to think about as we are going through the whole thing. So there you go. There you go. Okay, so take a listen to this one real quick because we have to talk about it.
WTF. Welcome to Florida.
A Luis Salazar proved that he is still honest because out there after finding $30,000 stuffed inside a fanny pack at a Wawa bathroom and returning every dollar to its owner. Salazar, 58, stopped at the convenience store in Riviera Beach on May the 3rd when he spotted a black fanny pack hanging on the bathroom handicap rail. When he looked inside to find an ID instead of stacks of 50s and $100 bills. The cash belonged to a 24-year-old man who had just sold his Pokemon collectibles and planned to use the money to help pay for medical procedures for his sister. He didn't realize that he had left the bag behind until he had already was driving away towards Cape Coral. Or sorry, I lied to you. And towards Coral Springs, and then later admitted that he had thought the money was gone for good. Salazar reached out to the store trying to find the owner himself, but couldn't track him down. He also admitted that he didn't fully trust the store employees or even the police to make sure that the money got back to the right person. So he tried to identify the owner based on details remembered, including curly hair, beige sandals. Police eventually connected Salazar to the missing fanny pack 4 days later during what initially became a grand theft investigation. Once officers spoke with him, it became clear that he had been trying to return the money the whole time. At the police station, Salazar handed the cash back saying, "This is yours," and it stunned. The owner replied, "You're a lifesaver." Every dollar was still there. The owner later gave the money to his sister for the medical needs, and Salazar honestly astonishing by what he did, saying that most people would have kept the life-changing money like that. Salazar meanwhile brushed it off and praised, saying, "I just did the right thing." So there you go. Some stuff to think about. No doubt about that. Anyways, it's that time to do that thing that we do from time to time that we call our main story. So let's go ahead and get into that. Well, if we can do that now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so it's main story time, and it's time to hang out, and it's time to do the stuff that we get to do, no doubt about that. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and start talking about some things that are going on, because that always seems to be the thing. So let's go ahead and pull that curtain back for just a moment and strip away the garbage corporate script, and let's talk about what's actually happening out there in the real world, because that seems to be one of these things that we should do because it seems important. And I want to talk about this ecosystem that we're all forced to live in every single day, and I'm talking about the modern corporate digital landscape, specifically the LinkedIn-ification. Yeah, the LinkedIn-ification that has been commodified into digital currency. Every milestone, every operational failure, every near miss, every human struggle, and yes, even human tragedy. And it has all been flattened onto the mechanism to farm clicks, likes, and algorithm validation. You know exactly what I'm talking about as I mentioned this. So we have arrived to the point to absolute systemic simulation where the corporate safety class has no longer even experience are genuine. Human moments of respect without immediate figuring out how to turn them into billboards for my personal brand. And it's what I call transactional obituary. Yeah, transactional obituary. Think about the autonomy of how this plays and how it goes down. A literal titan of our industry passes away. A foundational mind, someone who spent decades actually researching systems resilience and studying human behavior and trying to build the framework to protect the guy standing in the mud and the grease. And that mind stops working. The weight of the loss should hit the industry like a lead weights and should require a moment of actual unposted silent reflection. But what happens instead? Within 5 minutes of the news, the corporate vulture starts circling on social media. And they don't just make a post, like a simple post like rest in peace or thank you for the life work that you did. Oh no, that doesn't feed the machine. That doesn't drive traffic. Instead, they format the tragedy. They wrap around obituary inside of a commercial. They post, let's say this. We are deeply saddened by his loss, and safely enough, I was actually on my way to the person's residence to hand deliver an award from my organization, from my conference, which took place in this date in this city. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is not a joke. Look at what happened to the gravity of the message when you construct a narrative like that. And one of those slick strokes of a keyboard, and you focus completely, you just got hijacked. The center of the gravity aggressively pulled away from the person who just passed away and is placed squarely onto the guy holding the plaque. The entire tragedy is subtle, deceptively reframed around their itinerary, their award, and their commercial event. It takes a moment of profound human loss and degrades it into the missed photo op for a marketing campaign. It is transactional. It is self-serving. It is the exact type of sanitized, look-at-me corporate theater that completely breaks the soul of safety leadership. This isn't an honor. It's a performance. It's using the memory of a giant as a prop to stand. So look at my taller-than-you network that I have. And here's the ultimate beautiful irony about the whole thing. The very people pulling these stunts are the exact ones who love to walk onto a conference stage and preach about the vocabulary of modern safety. They love to throw acronyms. They talk about human and organizational performance. They talk about high reliability organizations. They buy the books, they print the bumper stickers, and they repeat the phrases like they're mantras. But they completely reject the foundational ingredients that those philosophies require to actually function, which is humility. You cannot practice high reliability principles. You cannot truly understand human organizational performance and can't look at a social psychology of risk, and you are completely intoxicated on your own digital clout. Hop culture isn't marketing strategy. HRO isn't corporate assets designed to sell conference tickets. They are operational frameworks built on the concept of chronic unease and deep, unglamorous organizational listening. When you turn a tragedy into a personal humble brag, you are proving to the world that you don't actually care about the science. You care about the character of being a thought leader. You're about the appearance of compliance. You are managing safety from a digital dashboard, performing for the audience of peers while remaining entirely insulated from the real messy reality of the workplace. So here's my challenge to the Safety FTM multiverse as we move forward this week. We need to start rejecting this theater. All of it. I'm not joking as I say this. Stop looking at for professional validation in the comment sections of a social media algorithm. Stop using human milestones and human losses into the content pipelines. Think about that for a moment of your company's page, because that becomes one of those interesting things. And if you truly want to honor people who built the foundation of safety science, if you truly want to protect the people working in the line of fire, you don't do it in transactional post on lines. You do it by turning off the screen. You do it by stepping away from the spreadsheet. You do it by walking out to the shop floor, getting your boots dirty, and doing the quiet, unposted, completely unglamorous work of listening to your crew. The tracks are running out on this corporate performance art. My friends, I'm going to tell you, the breaks are not listening. Start managing the literal reality of what's going on. Stop performing the scripts and let this just marinate for just a moment. If you're going to make a post like this, if you're going to talk about this, make sure that if you're going to do this, do it that you're actually honoring the person and not being such a person that you're trying to sell your corporate bullshit in regards of what's going on, because it becomes too weird.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation, Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we are. Currently, 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely
Tuesday.
Yep. We are still broadcasting from the Safety FM studios, no doubt about that. So this right here that you're taking a listen to, this is Me and You by Halston. Songs readily available on Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, and Pandora if you want to give it a little streamer-eamer action. We would like to thank Halston for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that. Little Me and You. So there you go. You know, I'll get stuck in the loop with the music. Little Me and You. So there you go. Okay, so let's get back into the move and the groove of everything going on inside of the world of the multiverse. No doubt about that. Okay, so let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, there's going to be information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. TWLOHA.com. I'm going to tell you, you go to that website, there's a lot of information on there. It can change a lot of things for you. I don't say that jokingly. So go there, take a look around, and let me know what you think. No doubt about that. So let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of this glamorous multiverse of ours, because that is kind of what we do. Some people care to know about this, so I always like to talk about it just for the sake of sharing the information that needs to be shared. If it wasn't important to some, I probably would not even have the conversation when it's all said and done. So did you go to the box office over the weekend? Because if you did, you might be surprised on what was taking place. So let's kind of go bottom to the top to the bottom. So here's the top 10. Coming in at the number 10 spot was Project Hail Mary with $2.7 million. The Super Mario Galaxy movie was at number 9 with $3.2 million. And number 8 was I Love Boosters with $3.7 million. Number 7 was Mortal Kombat 2 with $6.2 million. And number 6 was Passenger with $8.7 million. And number 5 was The Sheep Detectives with $9 million. And number 4 was The Devil Wears Prada Part 2 with $12.6 million. And number 3 was Michael, $20 million. And at number 2 was Obsession with $22.4 million. And coming in at the number 1 spot was Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu. Coming in at the number 1 spot with $82 million over the weekend. Now, I do not know if that means $82 million consisting of a 3-day weekend or a 2-day weekend. That is not specified on the report itself. So there you go. Okay, anyways, before I forget, let's talk about this. Reality is shifting, and that is taking place here Monday, July the 13th, 2026 in Orlando. Yep. Good old Orlando, Florida. We'll be having a little meeting taking place. Would love to see you there. We will have Todd Conklin talking about human and organizational performance right there in person. We will have Nick Weatherly talking about behavior-based safety right there in person inside of the room. And we will watch a little documentary as we're hanging out inside of a movie theater. And then I will be there talking about Signal after we watch the little doc. So, fun-filled day planned for Orlando, July the 13th, which is a Monday. People are going, why would you do that on a Monday? Well, we want you to enjoy the weekend in Orlando if you have the possibility of doing so. No doubt about that. So there you go. Would love for you to come hang out and do your thing right here in Orlando. So to find out more information, go ahead and scan that QR code if you're on the screen arena. If you're not on that, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. And if you don't want to go there, you can just go to Safety FM and go into the hub section. Live events are listed right there. Would love to see you there. Come hang out with us and take a look around at what the hell is going on over here. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and bring some John Small into our life and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute. No, seriously.
The Motivation Minute.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Matt. Thomas Sowell said, "People who enjoy meetings should not be in charge of anything." I can attest to this one. I'm not a fan of meetings. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to help with events and plan community celebrations, but the meeting part? Ugh. I actually have some things I do on my own because I'd rather do the work of 6 people than meet with 6 people. Now, I'm only kind of kidding about that. I am learning to delegate, and that really has been helpful. But when I was on the board for a few different nonprofits, I loved to help, but I didn't like the 1-hour meeting every month. That was 12 hours a year that I endured so I could help at a 1-hour event. I finally spoke up and said, hey, I'd love to help with the event, but I can't do the monthly meetings. Can I be like a friend of the board instead of a board member? That has been awesome for me.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Health officials continued monitoring passengers from a cruise ship outbreak after several Americans returned home for additional medical observation this week.
Federal disease experts said exposed travelers were transported to medical facilities in multiple states following emergency evacuations overseas. Authorities urged remaining passengers to follow testing guidance, while crews completed deep cleaning procedures aboard the vessel. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Fresh diplomatic talks raised hopes for easing the Iran conflict after negotiators signaled progress toward reopening the vital Strait of Hormuz.
American and Iranian officials continued discussions through mediators from Qatar and Pakistan, following months of fighting and shipping disruptions. Leaders from both countries indicated further announcements could arrive within days if remaining disputes are resolved. Chris Anderson reporting.
A Senate hearing on federal law enforcement spending featured sharp questions for FBI Director Kash Patel over agency management practices this week.
Patel testified before lawmakers reviewing budget requests for several justice agencies during a closely watched Capitol Hill appearance. Members of both parties challenged bureau priorities, while administration officials defended ongoing staffing and security operations nationwide. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Federal investigators continued examining a small plane crash off the Florida coast after all 11 people aboard survived the incident.
Rescue crews pulled passengers from the water after the aircraft went down shortly, following departure from a regional airport. Transportation officials are reviewing data and witness statements while investigators work to determine cause the accident. Kyle Norris reporting.
Pope Leo met grieving Italian families after renewed attention focused on toxic dumping sites blamed for serious illnesses in communities.
The pontiff spoke with parents from the so-called Land of Fires region, where illegal waste burning has contaminated neighborhoods. Environmental advocates are pressing Italian authorities for stronger cleanup efforts and medical support for residents. Gary Beck reporting.
President Donald Trump met with national security advisors as negotiations continued over a possible agreement aimed at ending conflict with Iran.
White House officials said several diplomatic proposals remain under review, following weeks of military tensions and economic uncertainty. Administration representatives indicated additional meetings are expected, while lawmakers continue debating American involvement and future security commitments. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Ukrainian leaders promised new strikes against Russian military targets after deadly missile attacks on Kyiv killed civilians earlier this week.
Officials in Kyiv said air defenses faced heavy pressure during the overnight assault that damaged homes and government buildings. European allies renewed support for Ukraine, while regional leaders warned the fighting could further threaten supplies. Benjamin Wright reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Freeform radio never sounded this great. Or has it? Radio Big.
It probably hasn't. So there you go. Let's start talking right away about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse that happened back on this date. Back in 1805, Napoleon is crowned the King of Italy. Yep, 1805 that happened. Let's see what else. 1927, Ford Motor Company manufactures the 15th million Model T automobile. Yep, that happened. In 1969, Apollo astronauts returned to Earth on this day. Also, in 1973, the Beatles' 1967 to 1970 album goes number one. Let's see. In 1994, Michael Jackson weds Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie Presley. He was 35. She was 26 at the time. So there you go. And in 2008, Sidney Pollack dies. Yeah, 2008. Sidney Pollack dies. Yeah, not a joke as I say that. That's some time for sure when he passed away. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. What else do we got going on? Some celebrity birthdays going on today. Brent Massberger from a sportscaster. He turns 87 today. Stevie Nicks turned 78. Philip Michael Thomas turned 77. Hank Williams Jr. turned 77 as well. Jeannie Francis turned 64. Bob Galdwait. Yeah, if you've ever seen Police Academy, you know who I'm talking about. He turned 64 today. And Joseph Fiennes turns 56. And Matt Stone, co-creator of South Park, he turns 55 today, just in case you were wondering. Let's talk real quick about some things that you ought to know, because it is that time. The United States carried out a military strikes inside Iran last night in what officials are calling a self-defense operation, raising tensions in an already boiling region. According to the United States Central Command, American forces targeted a missile launch sites in southern Iran, along with Iranian vessels that were reportedly trying to place naval mines and key shipping routes used by both military and commercial ships. Officials say that the strikes weren't meant to protect the U.S. troops for immediate threats posed by the Iranian forces, not launching a wider offensive. So there you go. Also, here's last night's winning Powerball number. Jackpot was $141 million. It was 17, 32, 48, 60, 64. Powerball was 10. Power Play was 2. So there you go. Also, tonight's Mega Million jackpot is for $311 million. In the aftermath of a shooting near the White House over the weekend, the Department of Justice has asked the court to permit constructions on the ballroom President Trump seeks to build there. In a court filing on Sunday, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche told the court that Trump cannot safely conduct the businesses of the United States with construction on the East Wing project, which includes the ballroom, stalled litigation. ABC News and CBS News is reporting. So what do you think? Some things to think about, no doubt about that. So there you go. Okay, so here's how it's going to go. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so. If you don't want to do that, you can stay right here and hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting, because that is what he does. So there you go. Some options all around the board for you if you're interested in doing those things. So there you go. So if I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today, I would love to do this. You don't have to you don't look like your goals. You like your goals' habits. You don't have to look like your goals. You have to like your goals' habits. So keep that in mind. And then if you need some advice for today, here you go. To reduce fumes after you use a powerful oven cleaner, break out the baking soda. Place a freshly opened box in the middle of the rack of your oven and let it sit overnight. That helps neutralize the cleaners. So there you go. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am, hopefully. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios. as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.